Hey guys, how are you doing? Hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to do this video because my last video wasn't intended to be a video. It was intended to be a short, but I'm so passionate about my lawn care community and applying the lessons that I have learned in life to that, because I see some of them as family and I have discerned the ones that are not of integrity, and I wanted to help others out and using that as an example and giving little tidbits and lessons in between. So I thought I could do it in 3 minutes, and then it just kept going, and I was like, well, I guess God is leading me to do a whole message on this, so I'm just going to let it be that. So the message that I had actually intended to do was about the narcissist's new supply. I've seen other videos on this recently, and I wanted to put my 2 cents in, throw my hat into the ring, and I've said not long ago that I wasn't going to do any more videos on narcissists, but I think that's very selfish of me. For one, they have the highest views, so I know that people get more out of them, and two, I have talked to people recently that have expressed interest in this and that have also talked about how there was a lack of information on this topic when they were going through it, as was with me. I started going through, well, I've always been around narcissists, but as far as the worst case scenario for me started back in 2015, maybe a little before that, but that's when things started to really hit the fan, and I started grasping at trying to find information that could help me on what was going on, particularly gaslighting, because it wasn't something that was talked about a lot. I knew that what was happening was not right, and that people that said they were loving me were trying to do some really weird things to me. And once I started plugging in this and that and this and that, the gaslighting popped up, and I was like, this is it. Eureka, this is exactly what's happening. And I had never had heard of the term before, even though it wasn't new. It wasn't widely available. Now there's songs about it and movies and tons of, it's almost over information. Not any that I have put my spin on as far as the new supply goes, but that's the great thing about it, is that there's never too many people that can talk or do the same thing, because everyone is different and you all have different experiences that have led you to talk about that you have to offer, that is unlike anyone else's. So that's why I wanted to talk about the narcissist news supply. First, I wanted to get some housekeeping out of the way, and I had mentioned, this is just a little fun fact about my intuition and how you may learn things from your intuition if you're not completely tapped into it yet. But a few days, weeks ago, or whatever, I was talking about how some people were mourning the loss of another, and I had found out about someone's passing. Now, in going through this, a lot of people that have done me wrong have had people very close to them pass. One family in particular has had a lot of people pass. This is how witchcraft works when it gets sent back. So, warning, my 50th warning to all that do it, and that includes gossip and speaking negatively on someone's name, sending out negative intentions. Your intentions charge the energy, they drive the energy. If someone is highly protected, higher ranked than you in spirit, supremely connected with the divine and their connection to the divine, they have given themselves permission to wake up to their divinity and they're walking in it, it's not going to work. It's going to be sent back. And I have seen lots of examples of that in the people that have tried to cause me harm, that have spoke negatively on me, who have gossiped, repeatedly tried, this family in particular, repeatedly tried to cause problems with my business. And the thing is, you can't control where it hits. So if you could say something bad and do something bad and it fairly came right back to you, and then you could say, okay, this is my karma, I deserve it. But when it hits an innocent person in your family, one of your loved ones who absolutely did nothing, children, older, elderly individuals that had something freaky that happened to them out of nowhere that you couldn't explain, it might be what you did, okay? You can't control where it hits. I am very sorry for anyone that is grieving, anyone for any reason that's grieving. And I did mention that in one of my videos about how I knew about someone passing. And how my intuition works is I will think about this person, even though they haven't been in my physical life in a while. I will think about them. God will put it on my mind. He will put it on my heart. It has like a nagging pull, a tug that just is not going away. And so I examined that. And in examining that tug that I felt recently, I was pulled to the obituaries, which I never look at. Usually Facebook is enough, or word of mouth. Something someone will say will get my attention, whether it's on the internet or through the grapevine, whatever. Someone sending you a message, I will usually hear about it. Chattanooga is so small. But this one is someone that I am not connected to as far as Facebook and the community goes, for real. But they were in the obituary. As soon as I went and looked, I was like, oh. And I kind of knew that it was going to be that person, but the obituary, seeing it, boldface, confirmed it completely. And I was like, oh, that's so sad. So this is a lady, a little older than me. When I was working at the convenience store last fall, the last time that I saw her was maybe November of last year. And she just left a big impression on me. As soon as I met her, she was like, hi, my name is Andy, and held out her hand. And she had a necklace like I love Sex and the City. Her name was Carrie, just like me, and she had her famous Carrie necklace on her chest. And this lady, Andy, had an Andy necklace, just like Carrie's. So every time I saw her, I would never forget her. She was such a force, larger than life, and very outgoing, very outspoken. Saw her maybe 4 or 5 times in my time working there. I worked there for a long time before she ever came in for the first time, but once I met her, there was no forgetting her. And the last time that I saw her, we had talked about her husband going out of town and working the hurricanes and making good money doing that. And even though she missed him, she was like, go, get the money. I knew she was a nurse. She was always in a great mood, and it was always good to see her. But the last time that I saw her in November, she was visibly very upset, and I could tell she had been crying. And I immediately was like, hey, Andy, how are you? I was like, is everything okay? And she was like, she didn't say anything. She just shook her head, and I knew not to ask more because the floodgates were going to open, and I didn't know her that well. I knew she probably didn't want to break open right there in the gas station, and even though people do spill their guts to me all the time, people that don't know me, I just didn't push her, and I left it at that. But I never saw her again. And over this course of time, it's been months and months since that happened, and I could not stop thinking about Andy. And I don't know what was wrong with her. I don't know how she passed. I did stalk her Facebook a little bit, admittedly, and we do have friends in common that had commented, about her passing, and someone said that she passed unexpectedly in her sleep. So I just want anyone to know that is listening, that knows Andy, is that I did have a love for her too. It wasn't close, but I read her energy, and I know that she was a fabulous soul. And anyone that is missing her, know that she is always, always with you. If she is on my mind, I don't want to cry. If she is on my mind and pulling at my energy, even after she's not here in the physical, I can only imagine what people that really loved her and were intertwined in her life felt about her, and how they feel without her presence. Just know that she still is present in your life. She is with you all the time, and she never died. She just transitioned, and she will be there whenever you want her to be, all the time, with you, supporting you still. So I just felt like I needed to say that because I know someone like that has to be missed greatly, and that she was loved by so many people. Beautiful, beautiful person and soul. And yeah, I knew, I knew something had happened to her. I knew that there was a reason that I needed to look at the obituary. But yeah, other things that I wanted to talk about was compliments. A comment that I got the other day, as far as hoping that me and my son are reunited again, and that they're praying for me and to keep going. And I am. I never ever stop praying for my son. I never ever stop thinking that we'll be reunited. And I commented back to that person and let them know that we both know that through God, with God, anything is possible. All things are possible. And when it's time for him to come back to me, he will come back to me. Even if I have to wait until he is 18, I never count that out, and I will never stop moving forward and being the example and being the light for others. Now that I have come home from myself and I have cut away all the things that have hurt me, and I've stopped holding out hope on those things and started to pour into me and fill my own cup, I'm walking with God. I'm on a mission every day, all day. I'm on a mission. And even though sometimes I still have hard days, I still have days that I never know what's next. That's what blind faith is all about. So I still keep putting one foot in front of the other, even though I have no idea how things are going to come together for me when I'm going to see him again. I just trust that God has a plan and he knows what he's doing. And I lean not on my own understanding. And even when I feel sad or get emotional about things, I give it that moment. I feel it and I let it go, but I keep going. And I want to let all of you guys know that if I can do it, you can most certainly do it too. I had to go to the food bank this past week because my electric bill was so high, and in order to be able to record, and I don't have internet here, so to upload and not have to go and camp out at the store, I have to I have a prepaid phone plan, so I have to pay higher than most for prepaid service. So my phone bill coupled with my electric bill from it being such a heat wave was really high. I'm not working right now, so I'm surviving on $175 of back child support that I get every 2 weeks, which is a miracle how far I can stretch things. But this time I only had $10 after getting gas and doing my laundry to spend on food. So I did go to the food bank for the first time in 2 years. I haven't gone there since I was homeless, but they gave me so much. So much food that I spent the $10 at the store getting everything that I could to supplement what they gave me in order to make it 2 weeks with food to cook for myself. But God is so good. And anybody that's in Chattanooga, go to the food bank and they'll give you other resources that I haven't used, so I can't give you an account of that. But there's other places that you can go in between the month that you're allowed to go there that will supplement you as well if you still need help. But I got so much food. So God is good all the time. And just keep going. Don't give up. So my Narcissist news supply, I want everyone to understand the cycle first, because my main reason in doing this is I'm going to show you both sides of the coin, but I'm more talking to the X supply, the one that I have. We've all been the new supply. It's been us at some point, but if you're having trouble with the new supply, and I don't mean trouble directly from the new supply, but I mean in dealing with it, in reconciling that there is a new supply, that you have been discarded, or that you think, well, I was the problem and they're perfect and they're everything I wasn't, or they were able to treat them right when they couldn't treat me right. Like, anybody that's struggling with that, those are the ones that I'm talking to. But I will talk to the new supply for a second, but I don't hold out much hope for that yet. And I'll tell you why when I get there. But I don't want anyone to be envious. I don't want you to be hurt. I don't want you to go back to the cycle of they try to flaunt the new supply in your face. That is a tactic that's used. Trust me, if they're a narcissist, they will stalk you, especially if you were a primo supply, and they'll try to put that in your face. And trust me, I have many catfish accounts blocked. I have 3 known accounts blocked. I have their phone number blocked. I have almost everything from my ex blocked. So I don't want to see it. It doesn't do any good. That's done. That's over. There's no flaunting for me, but to others who are new to this game and are freshly out of the cycle, this is for you, okay? My dear darlings, first I wanted to go through real quick the stages of narcissism, just so you understand what you've come out of with the new supply is just beginning, okay? So idealization, that is the fresh first step phase of the narcissist and reeling you in, and that is love bombing. That is the romance stage. That's the fairy tale. Oh, what is this? This is great. This is wonderful. That's when the fun begins. My ex used to love trips. I'll take you on a trip. That's going to be one of the first things. He's going to cook for you. He's going to buy you things. He's going to get you alcohol. He's going to take you to, knowing him, particularly my situation, these examples that I'll plug in. Trips. I didn't get many trips when I was younger. Didn't go on hardly any trips with my first ex-husband. So trips galore. Amusement parks, to the beach, to beer festivals, normally in which I had to almost carry him back from. I remember one time I was pregnant and he was lurching like a zombie to the car, and he had picked up so much swag that I was dropping it left and right, broke a glass on the pavement. It was a miracle that we got back with me being pregnant and freshly out of, well, no, I was still throwing up quite a bit, but yeah, miracle I made it back to the car with him and most of the swag. But yeah, with him it'll revolve around alcohol. But this is when the fun is. This is the fun that, everything's great over here stage. Then, as soon as you settle in and believe it, without notice, the weather will change. A cold front will blow through, and the devaluation begins. This is when they become very dismissive, very critical of everything you do. Start pecking at that self-worth. Start pointing out all of your flaws. Start not gaslighting it. We're not there, but yeah, and that's when they'll start looking at all of your imperfections and trying to blow them up and magnify them and let you know that they haven't missed a thing when it comes to how you're not perfect and you're not this and you're not that. Then the discard. That's when they have fallen in love with your flowers and not with your roots, so they have no idea what to do when autumn comes. I saw that as a meme the other day, or a inspirational quote, and that is so true. That is when, they have many other supplies on the side, hidden in the wings. They've been seeing them, they have them lined up, probably have a separate phone, or they put their phone face down whenever you're around. Like you're never gonna know, probably, maybe, hopefully you will, but there's gonna be many backup plans and many stealth missions that already exist, or they have lined up and waiting in the wings at any time. So the discard will be easy. A lot of times they want you to be the discard so that you can feel the shame and guilt of how you put so much time into this and they were so great and you're the reason why it didn't work. I've had that said to me, that it's all your fault, and they want you to feel the guilt of the collapse and how you didn't try enough or you gave up, even though they've already planned on the smear campaign, the discard, the backup supply, the side piece. They've already had all of this juggling behind the scenes. But to your face, they're going to want you to think that you are the reason, you are the main reason, the only reason why this didn't work. So they want you left holding the bag, thinking that if I had just tried a little harder, or we were together for so long and I just threw it away over something as small as all of their manipulation and their cheating and their betrayal, right? That's small stuff, right? You were silly to give up on that, right? And then the yo-yo cycle. They'll try to keep pulling you back in. They call this hoovering, which is like a vacuum. They'll try to suck you dry of anything that you have left, anything that you regain, to get you back into that cycle. And then it starts all over again. Start back at one. Anytime that they feel the need to start that love bombing all over again, they will at the drop of a hat, if they think that they can pull you back in as a supply to have you on rotation. Even if they have a new supply, they're probably not going to get rid of the new supply, even if they tell you that they aren't, but they're going to keep as many supplies in rotation as humanly possible at all times to keep feeding that overinflated ego. That's what they need. That's what they need you for. A lot of times the new supply, and I found something great I wanted to read, because we're not hating on the new supply at all. In fact, I love you. I love you all, even the narcissists, but from way, way, way over here, because I wish them the best. I pray for them. This is why I want you to understand both sides of the coin. I want you to understand the terminology, the stages, all of the tactics that are being used, because this is how you're going to break free. Cut and run. Don't look back. Even if you have children together, minimal, very minimal contact. I am not supposed to be blocked in my son's phone, so if he wants to contact me, he can at any time. Family members that I know are taking care of my son, hence why he's registered for a new school in their address district. They can contact me anytime, but I have blocked him on everything I could think of. So I don't communicate with him at all. There's no supply, no exchanges, no intimidation, no nothing from him and from me, to him from me. So I don't wish them any harm. I want them to get better, but it's going to take a whole lot of time, dedication, accountability, facing it, just being okay with how they are a narcissist. It is narcissistic personality disorder is a disorder. It is in the DSM. It is, and as a matter of fact, I wrote it down. It's F60.81. That is the actual diagnosis code for the mental disorder of narcissistic personality disorder. There is a great guy on Facebook. I think he's on all platforms, but his name is Lee Hammock. Lee Hammock. I always want to say Hammock, but it's Lee Hammock. And his page on Facebook is called Mental Healness. And he is in recovery. He is a diagnosed narcissist. And he is on his platform speaking out about things that he has done, things that you can do to counteract their behavior, how you can see it for what it is and be aware of it. He's great. Also, another page I wrote down is Dr. Romani, Romani, Ramani, and she is great. Her channel is great. She has been through narcissistic abuse, and she's a doctor. She has millions, like probably literally, like thousands of videos. I've watched her stuff for years, so she's a great resource too. But the thing that I saw that I wanted to read about the new supply that I want all of you to be able to embrace. It says, never be jealous or bitter towards the new woman you once fell for those charms, and you know firsthand how convincing they can be. Remember, they are attracted to tender and loving hearts like your own, so they are just the next victim. Just you, another pawn like you, just dressed up in a different meat suit. All they have to look forward to is lies, deceit, disrespect, manipulation, and abuse. They will be bullied, put down, controlled, and cheated on just like you were. They will be made to feel like nothing on a daily basis, ending up isolated, scared, and a shell of their former self. Feel sorry for them. They have no idea that they have let evil into their life. And that is so true. That's what I want all of you to embrace when it comes to the new supply. Don't be fooled by the front. Don't be fooled by them parading around with them, taking them on trips, posting their life on social media for everyone to see. That is the whole point of the charade. They need that. It's a smoke. It's a new supply, a fresh supply. It is also a smokescreen for anything that might be going on, to let the world know that look over here, my life is perfect. Look at this new person on my arm. Look at how great they are. They are replacing this other person who was faulty and trash and all of the smeared narratives and agendas that I have put out there in my witch hunt, because nothing can ever be their fault. They take no accountability whatsoever. So they want everyone to see this new shiny toy that they have. And I don't mean that disrespectful. I don't mean it as name calling or anything like that, because it was me at a certain point. I am coming from where you are. If you're seeing this as the new supply, I've been there. It's been me. I'm not in denial about that. There's no disrespect intended, because I know from firsthand what I was to someone else. I know I was the new shiny object to make someone else jealous, to make the world look at and say, "Oh, look at him now. He really, took the trash out, or the trash took itself out, or whatever." Like, I remember my ex, everyone that he talked about that was no longer in his life had done him badly. He was the victim. There was a girl that I knew, well, I never met her, but her name was Audra, and she had left notes on his door. And if I pulled up with him and he ran in to get something and he would pull a note off of his door, I'd be like, "Who is that? What is that?" He never let me read it or see it, but he said her name was Audra, and even his mom would come out forthright, just spilling her guts, she's the classic enabler, trying to give her story on it so that it would be believable, and all of it wasn't coming from him. His dad was trash, his stepmom was trash, they did everybody wrong. This girl, Audra, was, I quote, crazier than creek water. There was one of his best friends who I saw in all of his pictures that was no longer around, and it was, "Oh, well, he cheated with this girl on spring break and they blamed it all on me, saying that I told him to go for that girl," and all of this stuff. I mean, lots of friends from their past were no longer in their lives, and it was all their fault. Nothing that he ever did caused these fallouts, caused these breakups, nothing. They're all crazy, 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 which I knew if anything happened to us, I'm going to be crazy, because that is exactly what he said to everyone else about other people that could no longer be in his life for whatever reason, that it was their fault. Never mind him being the common denominator in all of these people's lives who didn't know each other. They all had a problem with him that was separate from each other, but none of it was his fault. So just know, when you hear that, when you hear that, that is going to be you. Something happens, that is going to be you. That is their baseline. That is exactly what they say to the public when something goes wrong. They're crazy. They did this to me, blah, 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 blah. So don't discount yourself from that. It's just like anybody else. If they could talk trash about this person, they're going to talk trash about you. If they're going to say this to you about them, they're going to say that about you to somebody else. There's no exceptions. That is who they are. When they paint you a picture, don't let them paint you another picture. So, moving on. The whole point of a narcissist is that they do not possess the quality of empathy. They don't have it in them at all. So, even if they get a new supply, they need empathy to have a real, honest, genuine, authentic connection with anyone. Anyone. So they didn't do any magic tricks that magically gave them empathy. They didn't do anything but move on. You know how many people revolving doors had been around my child that he is used to that endless supply of just new conquests, new people. Like, he is used to that. I haven't dated anyone in years, but I'm celibate. I've said that many times, but in even just sticking my toe back into the dating pond, anyone that I dated, probably maybe four people-ish. I don't know, but I never brought any of them around my son because, when I was with him, my time was for him only. And I didn't want him to ever be confused by new guys if they weren't gonna like make it. I don't want him to get used to them and have a relationship with them if they weren't gonna last. I wanted to make sure that they were gonna last, and none of them did, so they didn't come around my son ever. And I'm so glad that I made that decision because he didn't ever have to see me with all of these different people and have to deal with breakups and none of that. So he's actually super, super, well, last time I talked to him, when I was able to talk to him, super possessive over me not being with anyone because he's seen how bad that it can be and he knows that he doesn't want that for me and he doesn't want to have to deal with that from me because he's had to deal with that from somewhere else. So they choose really successful, confident, independent, ambitious women, empathetic women, or men, whoever. I'm not just speaking for the women. It could be anybody that the narcissist goes after. They are looking for people with those qualities because those are qualities that they don't possess. They would love to possess them, but they don't know how. So they feed off of these people that do, and they peck at them and break them down, and then they wear that energy. They feed off of that. Whether it's positive or negative, they feed off of your energy. So if they can't keep you confused and in this trance of a romance, I adore you state, then they will have you crashing out. They will go and they will do things that they know are going to make you mad for a response so they can feed off of that negative energy. So they'll get it however they can get it. Don't get that twisted. But they need a genuine empathy to have a good relationship, a healthy relationship with anyone. So don't ever feel like you've been replaced by a narcissist. Their new supply is simply that. They're just a new supply in a different body. They haven't changed anything. It's just a new face, a new battery to feed off of. They haven't made any changes. They haven't taken any accountability. There's zero self-awareness on their part as far as what they have done to be a narcissist, how the trauma in their life or past pains and hurts and things that they've gone through have made them into this. So nothing's changed. They still have zero empathy. They're not able to have a connection with anyone that is sustainable in a healthy way. So you haven't missed out on anything. There's nothing that has been replaced except for the placeholder. That's it. What's the next thing? Yeah, so don't ever be jealous. Don't ever think that the new supply magically fixed them and that you were the problem. It's just not, it's not possible at all. Not in any way, shape, or form is it possible because they still lack empathy. I wanted to talk about this show that I watched it's on cable, but I've seen segments of it on YouTube. It's Dr. Orna from Couples Therapy, and particularly if you want to go look at the couple Annie and Mao, M-A-U, classic narcissist. And she actually got him in therapy, which is amazing because a lot of them only want to go to therapy to just play the blame game. If you pay attention to a narcissist and how quick they can switch the victim slash bully switch on you, it is amazing. It engages like, am I the victim? Am I the bully? I want to cry. I want you to feel sorry for me. I want to control the narrative and you to think that they're the narcissist and they did things to hurt me and I did nothing to warrant any of that. I never did anything to them. To switch and be the angry bully that intimidates and is a tyrant and wants to control and just be domineering and incite fear on that person. How quickly they will toggle between that. The vacillation is insane. So before you start to fall for it, look for that because if you can see how quickly they can switch, you can be like, which one is it? Make up your mind. Which one are you? Are you the victim or are you the bully? Are you wanting them to be scared of you or do you want all of us to feel sorry for you? Because that's their MO. That's their MO. That's how they go back and forth, trying to gain support or control. It's immaculate. I remember when my ex, he had his friends so confused when we went through our divorce that they were giving him books talking about how to build confidence going back into the dating world, and how to, as a single father, how to date again and introduce themselves into that dating market again. And I, looking back and what I know now, I was like, he never stopped dating. He never stopped. He was never out of the dating pool. You just thought that he was because of what he presented himself to be out in the open, but behind closed doors, I knew how many people that he had been with. I knew about all of the indiscretions, all of the betrayals. I knew about all those things, and I was like, he doesn't need a handbook. He can write a handbook on how to be the player, on how to try to keep his, life secret, and how to go out and snow his friends, on how he wasn't. He was so shy and timid about getting back out there. I was like, he never stopped being out there. But Annie and Mal, okay, so Annie was talking about the classic, how they want to be wowed, how they want to be taken care of, how they want you to spend all of your energy trying to make them happy and to build them up. And that it was birthday stuff that she got caught in a trap every year, and that nothing that she ever planned for their birthday was ever good. And this is what I tried to do too. I tried to be all out on the birthdays, even though, and I would get, it was Bilo at the time when we were together, but I would get Bilo gifts, bottled Dr. Pepper and some flowers and a card, like, and some chocolate, like whatever he could find at the grocery store that was less than a mile away from our house. No big elaborate plans for my birthday, but I was supposed to pull out all the stops and fireworks galore on his birthday. But she said that, Annie said Mal was never ever satisfied with what he wanted for his birthday. He wanted her to read his mind, and if he could think about a glass of water, he wanted a glass of water sitting there waiting for him, without even having to say a word. And so she planned this elaborate weekend, and she couldn't hold it all in. And he felt like she was missing the mark. Of course, she didn't want it to all blow up like past birthdays. And if he knew too much, then he was just going to crap all over it. And she couldn't hold it all in. She was excited, and she ended up telling him a few things. And then he said, "You know what? I don't want anything. Just cancel it all. And by the way, where's my passport?" And she said he went to Italy by himself and left her. And he was just sitting there laughing and smiling about it like the whole time, like it was funny. And he thought he was amazing and perfect in every way, even though she said that he was really dismissive and treated her badly. And out in public, he looked like an awesome husband, but at home, she was belittled. She never felt like they were on the same page, and that he always wanted her to wear, really sexy, scantily clad things and just provide sex 3 times a day, every single day, and it to be fabulous and genuine, and him never to have to do anything at all to contribute. And I was like, this is classic. He is a classic narcissist. So y'all go and check that out. It might be a trigger for you if you're not too far along on your healing journey, but I found it hilarious. But he said, one of the things that he said was when he first met her, he saw her and thought she was perfection because she could connect to people in the world in a way that he thought was spectacular, and that he could never ever achieve that himself. And that is exactly the dynamic that they're looking for. They do not have empathy. They do not have those characteristics for connection and to be genuine and authentic. They are always hiding behind a mask and using things to cover up, like Mal with the sex addiction. A lot of times they look for alcohol and drugs to cover up their pain, especially if their ego takes a hit. So they'll immediately run to those things to get that dopamine hit, to get that euphoric state, to get that things that really were adrenaline rushes for them. And I dealt with that a lot, a lot. And they will always run to those things whenever they take a hit. Whenever you're not giving that to them and they belittle you and dismiss you, or eventually discard you, then they're immediately running to their new supply, or whatever vice they have, the multitude of vices that they have, to keep making them feel good so that they can build themselves up fast, so that that ego doesn't crumble, that mask doesn't fall off for everyone else. Because you, in being with them, you fell for their victim mode on how everyone has done them wrong, right? So they will sniff out the victim in you immediately, especially if you don't have any protection or support in your family unit and you trauma bond with them over um, having a bad family unit. So they know that if they hurt you, you don't have anybody to run to, that you don't have anybody that's going to buck up. You don't have 3 brothers at home that are fiercely protective of you and they're going to round up in the pickup truck and come beat his butt. They know that you don't have that. They know that you probably have trouble with your mom, or have been abandoned by this person or that person in your family unit. You don't have a strong support system that you could call at any time to back you up when they break you down. They know that. It's all calculated. It has all been designed. They know who to pick. They have handpicked you specifically. That's why I know you're great. That's why I know you're great, because I know that I try to be great to everyone. And previously to a fault, I would be a doormat and I would try and try and try and try again. Hence my over 10-year relationship with this narcissist, because I did not want to give up. I did not want to be the reason that it failed, because I don't like to fail at anything. I like to be a perfectionist. This is how my father, who was the narcissist, molded me to be, to never step out of line, to always know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and to perform and do it in a perfect way every time, to be the perfect daughter. That made me want to be the perfect wife, because I didn't ever learn that I was in that cycle and learn the lessons in order to break the cycle and get out. So I was doomed to keep repeating it, like very specifically. So, you know, if you're the new supply and I'm speaking to you now, I know you're great. I know you're going to be wonderful to my child, and I know that you're going to see my child as wonderful, because he is. But you were handpicked. I pray for you. If you are into cord cutting rituals or you have read about it at any time, I highly suggest you do. And that is immediately my first thought whenever I hear about a new supply, is I'm going to pray for them and I hope they know how to cord cut. Because anytime that your soul is intertwined with anyone else's soul, you need to cut that cord if they are bad for you, without exception. I don't care if they're a narcissist or not. If you have sexual relations with that person, your souls are intertwined like forever. And so I much believe in energy work, and I have done cord cuttings on many people from my past, especially this person. So read up on that. Narcissists want CEO responsibility with the accountability of a toddler. They can never be in leadership positions. Any narcissist that I've ever known with leadership or a management position, it was very short-lived because of the abuse of power. They will either get fired, I've seen that on multiple occasions, or they'll get demoted, or there'll be fights because it's all a front. Everything that they claim to be is a front. They're probably wearing someone else's energy when they get those positions that they have modeled and mirrored from probably their supply source, their partner at home, to come across as the perfect leadership, to regurgitate all of the things that they've seen you do, heard you say, and have exemplified in your own life to get that. But they can't hold it because they don't have any empathy. They can't meet people where they are in order to establish those real connections that would thrive, that would be sustainable, that would be of potential in any kind of healthy way. So that's why they can't do that. They need your energy as the new supply. They need to walk in it. They need to mirror it to other people. They need the public to see them as healthy and thriving. They need that to keep putting on their show, the smokescreen that you are. So just know you are. It's hard to talk to the new supply. It's hard to talk to flying monkeys because they don't want to admit that what they've believed and what they've engaged in, and probably what they've carried out for the narcissist, was wrong, was a bad intention on someone else. They don't want to believe it, that if they could do it to someone else that they have known and loved for years and years and years, have children with, been married to, whatever the case may be, they don't want to think that it could happen to them. For one, they are enablers, they are minimalizers, or they might be a narcissist themselves. So, not all minimalizers are enablers, but all enablers are minimalizers. Um, Lots of people like that are in my ex's family, and I know that the flying monkeys is basically like a cult. And it's hard to realize that you are in a cult until you step away from the cult. You have to want to get away from it. You have to put a stop to it, and not until you are away from it are you going to start dropping those illusions, start dropping those stories that have been told to you, all of the confusion, all of the lies, all of the witch hunt things that have been told to you over and over and over, to be drilled into your head that that person did them wrong and they're a victim, and they'll whip out the tears for them, and um, triangulate. They love triangulation, using putting something in the middle to use as um, a tactic in which to manipulate. In my case, it was my son. Sometimes other women, trying to use that as a pawn in order to use it for control. It's all about control. They need that control in order to feed their ego, to make them feel strong, big, bad, powerful. And it's all just a defense mechanism, because they don't feel like that at all. That's not anything that they have at all. They just need to use things in order to give that illusion of control, just like using your energy in order to walk in that empathy that they don't have. They need to draw from other people to give themselves all the things that they don't have in order for that mask to not fall, and that illusion and charade to keep going strong at the forefront for everyone that they encounter, because they don't want to do the work on themselves. They don't want to face their trauma, their pain, their suffering. They don't want to do their shadow work or anything that's involved in becoming the true them. So don't go out and try to prove your point to any flying monkeys or the new supply. I have heard from many supplies that have been discarded, trust me, more than I will ever name, of girlfriends of my ex that have called me and connected with me after the discard, because they wanted to see if everything that they said about me and at one time believed was true. They wanted to know me, the real me, without them being in between telling them what I was. They wanted to see for themselves what I was. And it was amazing. I even, there's one girl named Katrina. Hi, Katrina, if you're watching. I saw your picture online lately. This person was talking to my ex as far as the last time that I was talking to him, Ethan. She has never completely broken the cycle, but when she did break the cycle, she called me immediately and wanted to talk to me. They had separated. She was telling me about how he would go into a rage and rip posters and stuff off of my son's wall in his room, and they had gone to separate cities. I think she was from Miami, so she went to Miami and they were spending time apart. And we talked for the whole weekend on and off about comparing notes, all the things that he said about me and me setting the record straight and her really getting to know me. We even met for dinner one time, and I met her new boyfriend. And I've talked to many exes when they finally get out of the illusion and they break away and they don't look back. And I hope she's not looked back. I know she's married now, but my ex was even telling me how they were still in contact, and my son had sent me a video where he was videoing his dad messaging her and him telling her that I was going crazy, and all of these things that he said about me recently. He was telling her all of those things. So they're still in contact as a couple of years ago, at least. So I hope she's finally broken the cycle now. But I thought she was a nice person. Once I got to know her, and I never hated on her, I knew that she was always good to my son. And that's always the only thing that mattered to me as far as a new supply, because I knew he hadn't changed, and eventually they were going to see what I had gone through at some level. So don't ever envy them or be jealous or be upset that you were replaced or that everything has changed now that they are magically with this new person, because that doesn't matter at all. Don't hate on them. Just patiently wait for their turn and be there for them. I did write down something about, yeah, because I did write down, there's a good friend of my ex's right now who saw my son so relieved and so happy that he wasn't going to have to go back to what he's currently in now. um, he saw him hug me and be so happy that he wasn't going to have to go back. And that person has stood by him still, even though he saw that and was a witness to that. He has stood by him still and went to every court date and supported him, probably still to this day. So, Brandon, I know you saw it, but you're still a flying monkey. I'm not trying to convince anyone otherwise. But you saw it for what it was, and you still chose to keep the illusion going on your own, even though you saw it. So don't try to convince any flying monkeys. Don't go out and try to support your case in any way. You just keep being you, authentically you, and the truth will come out, and you will be seen as the genuine person that you are, that just you were abused and all of the flying monkeys helped abuse you. They enabled it, they minimalized it, they made excuses for it, and they fell for the facade. So if they want to be victims and stay victims, they can, but none of us are victims. We all need to be accountable because we're all one. We all need to work together and love each other, and you only stay in illusions as long as you want to. If you can question everything, like I encourage everyone to do, eventually you will see it for what it is. But yeah, I wanted to just do a quick rundown on the end, that they will seek ambitious, successful, desirable, powerful, independent, self-worthy people with the very qualities that they secretly crave but cannot embody. And from the beginning, the seduction is deliberate, calculated. The charm, the charisma, the love bombing create an illusion of devotion, admiration so overwhelming that it clouds judgment and sparks deep emotional attachment. You feel very seen in the beginning, very special, very understood. It's very intoxicating being the new supply, and having been the new supply, exactly what's being pulled over on the new person in their life. But once they have secured a place in their life, marriage, pregnancy, shared business, joint adventures, or other forms of long-term commitment, the true intentions start to surface. So the love and adoration become control, a subtle undermining, emotional manipulation, calculated infidelity, or deliberate betrayal. And the goal is to humble that person, to see them struggle, to break down their self-worth, confidence, and build a dependence on themselves over and over by getting them back in the cycle over and over and keeping that source of supply on rotation. So see it for what it is. Don't miss it when it's gone. Lesson learned, cut and run. You made it. Come home to yourself, do your shadow work, realize why you were ever in that dynamic in the first place, and pick those things apart, heal from them. Look up shadow work. I have many videos on shadow work, so look that up. Pray for the new supply. Educate others. Pay forward to them with the experience that you have, just like I'm doing right now. And that will also transmute any residual pain or negative feelings that you might have into positivity, because you are grateful for it and you are helping others with it. It was never in vain, and it never will be. Be there for the new supply like I was for Katrina. Be open to helping them pick up the pieces and helping them learn from your experience, because your experience will be much like theirs because it was with the same person. So it's not going to be a carbon copy, but it'll be the most alike that anyone else has to offer them advice from. Just know that if you're stalked, and like I said, if you were a primo supply, you will be stalked, and don't hesitate to call. Document and call for help if you need to, if it's from the authorities. Even if you don't press charges or have enough to press charges, at least put it on file so that anything else happens in the future, that they will have a trail that goes back to them for when you do have something more concrete, or if, heaven forbid, something really catastrophic happens, or if you have to go to court, you have a trail, you have things on file. I was hesitant to call the police in the beginning, but I eventually did and had to do so twice within 24 hours. So I had those reports on file. Unfortunately, in my new case, everything that was presented had to be post-divorce. So because we didn't fight it out, he didn't do everything that he had threatened to do in the beginning until just recently, when I finally said I wasn't ever going to go back. And he said, I'm not your enemy, but I'm about to be. And then he did all of the things that he threatened for years to do and took it there. So that's why I'm where I'm at now. Amongst many things, he has help from my family, and there's other underlying things there too, but never hesitate to go to the police, and just create a report, if nothing else, so that you have it on file. But yeah, get help, arm yourself. I don't know how you feel about firearms, but definitely go get qualified and educate yourself on the safety of them, and have those as well if you need to, because I want everyone to stay safe out there. When you break away from a narcissist, even if he has a new supply, it's going to infuriate them that you cut them off and that you see them for who they really are. When they know that you know, that's when it's really on. So I love you all. God loves you, and you're never alone. I'll see you next time. Bye.